What's up guys, Zali Effect here, and today I'll be going over the best 4K Blu-rays that I personally experienced in 2024. Now most lists will feature just movies that came out in 2024, but mine will also include a few movies that I happened just to watch in 2024 and they blew my expectations out the water. So I hope you guys enjoy. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and let's get straight to it. So this movie all around is just a 10 out of 10 for me. The quality is super sharp, some of the deepest, darkest black, especially when you get into the other part of the story where you're not on Arrakis anymore. It's all around just a really good disc that if you're looking for a movie that's gonna be super loud and have a lot of bass, this movie has it. If you're looking for a movie that's just gonna have that super crisp 4K look to it, it's gonna have it. And it's truly just a huge awe-inspiring movie. Really, when you put this in, you definitely have a cinematic movie theater experience, and that's why I made the list. So Ellie and Romulus made this list, and every single time I pop this bad boy in, I'm just like, yeah, this is what 4K is all about. The Dolby Atmos on this one's really nice as well. It has a lot of intricate background atmosphere effects that they do to really put you in the atmosphere of being in a spaceship. The disc is a 4K intermediate, so super crispy, not a lot of grain, and all in all, just a really good solid disc with really good black levels, contrast, and just a really good disc. Ellie and Romulus. So Transformers 1. So this is one I was actually pretty excited about because I saw it in movie theaters, and you know, movie theater experience can be nice, but there's just something about going to your living room and watching it on a TV where you get the HDR effect and everything, and man, it just blows the movie theater experience out the water. But when I popped this bad boy into my setup, I was blown away by the HDR on this movie. And also, it's a 2K intermediate that's upscaled to 4K, but honestly, you can't tell. It is super crispy, super razor sharp, and if you have one of those Govee light setups that you put on your TV where it emulates, like, you know, what colors are going on the TV and like backlights your TV, this movie looks awesome with it, and I would highly recommend it if you have that sort of setup. But yeah, the HDR in this movie is really good. The sound on it, I don't really think it was too crazy immersive now that I think about it, but I might have just not have been blasting it all the way. But all in all, I didn't have any like qualms or problems with the audio, and the HDR in this movie just punches you in the face. It is super colorful. There's so many colors going on, especially in Cybertron, and then the robots, even on the robots like metal, you know, they have like different variations of like purple, things like chromatic look to it. Just all in all, crazy looking HDR disc, and that's why it's on this list. So now we got Godzilla -1. It's a 4K intermediate, super crispy. This movie actually isn't super crazy on the HDR. There's only a handful of moments where the HDR really pops, like when Godzilla uses his atomic breath, but where you're really gonna get the punch for this disc is the audio. This thing will shake your house. I have a pretty moderate Dolby Atmos setup with like with the sub and then the sound bar, and just that, my whole living room was shaking. This movie is super crispy as well. Like I said, 4K intermediate. Yeah, so Godzilla -1 is definitely a movie you can put in if you want to show off your sound system. It'll shake your whole living room, and it's really crispy of a disc, not a lot of problems with it. That's why I made this list. Coraline. So this was a movie that came out a while back, and I happened to pick up the Steelbook, and I was truly blown away by this one. Now, most animation movies are 2K upscales because most of the CGI and stuff is done in 2K, so they just upscale it to 4K. But this one in particular is like a stop motion, so they do it with like pictures and stuff. I'm pretty sure that's what they do. And they're able to deliver this movie at a 4K intermediate, and you can tell. It wasn't until I watched this movie that I realized that stop motion really is just people taking pictures of things. Because when you're looking at this and you're looking at the screen, you can see all the details of every little thread of needle, of yarn and everything, little buttons and stuff like that. Just all the set design and everything. It literally looks like a mirror, and then you're just looking at like real life. I don't know how to explain it. This movie rocked, and the HDR on it is super crazy too. There's a handful of standout moments, especially when you're going in the garden with the dad. Everything just gets super bright, super dreamy looking, and the blues are really bright as well. And all in all, just one of the best 4K discs I've seen in a long time. It'll blow you away if you haven't seen it. So just off of the detail alone. That's why I made this list. All right, so for the next one, we got Midsummer. Now, this also came out a little while ago, and I recently picked up the re-release that they released at Walmart. And oh my God, I was blown away. I had only seen like the stream version of it, and this was the first time I actually had the disc. And I did a little bit of research, and this movie was actually shot in 8K and then downscaled to 4K for the actual, you know, the Blu-ray release. And oh my goodness, you can tell this is probably one of the most crispiest movies that we have on here. And there's certain scenes where, again, it looks like you're just looking through like a glass mirror or a glass window into like another world. It is so crispy. The clarity is really nice, and the HDR, especially especially in like the village area. All the greens are super plush and vibrant, and all in all, just a really good, really good 4K when it comes to color, crispiness, sound, everything. This movie just slaps. Midsummer. So the next one is Deadpool versus Wolverine. Now, most of the time when we have Marvel movies, it's a little bit bland. The HDR is not that poppin', but this one, just like most Marvel movies right now, is better than the rest. The reds on here, especially on Deadpool's suit, are super poppy. It's a 4K intermediate, and you can really tell everything's super razor sharp. The sound design for the Dolby Atmos on this one is really loud, really punchy, especially around the end when Wolverine and Deadpool are kind of working together. I won't really get into spoilers, but they're doing something where they're kind of spread out. That looks really crazy, and there's a couple of fight scenes that also look really crazy. All right, so the next one for me is Longlegs. This also came out this year, and this movie is awesome. I love watching a good 4K horror movie, but this one really took it to the next level. First, it's a 4K intermediate, so you know this thing is crispy. Really good black levels as you would want for a horror movie. Super dark, contrasty, inky blacks. The sound design on this one is top tier. If you haven't listened to this one, it's the same thing like Ellie and Romulus. They do a lot of things in the background with the atmosphere that just take everything to the next level. Specifically on a part where they're going into a farmhouse, you can hear a blizzard in the background while you hear the door creaking. You can hear like footsteps. Everything's super crystal clear, and it just really puts you in that environment. The HDR is really not that crazy because it is more of a subdued, but there's a few scenes with like red and bright whites and stuff that really stand out. This is definitely one of the best horror movies I've seen this year when it comes to a 4K disc. Arcane Season 1 Steelbook. Now this one was awesome. I had recently watched Arcane on Netflix. Streaming is just not the best way to watch a lot of these things, especially when it comes to animation. A lot of the particle effects and just small little intricate details just kind of get washed away and pixelated when you try to stream it. But when you pop this disc in, it looks super crispy, super clean. I would say it's just like maybe like if the 4K on streaming was like right here, this one is right about here. But what takes it up to here, is the HDR. This movie is super vibrant, super colorful. And when I say movie, I mean show, my bad. This show is super vibrant, super colorful, has a lot of pop. And again, this disc does not have Dolby Atmos, but it does have Dolby True HD, and it sounds really good. There was a handful of scenes where I really just felt like I was in the environment with them. You can hear fire around you, the water falling and stuff like that. It was all in all just a really good disc and a huge step up from the Netflix streaming. For the next one, we got Sleepy Hollow, which did come out a while back, but they re-released the Steelbook and I picked it up this year in October. And man, this disc was awesome. Not super colorful, but it's like a black and white kind of subdued kind of color space that you have in this one. And that allows for really contrasty shots. So this isn't a widescreen disc either. It's a full screen, takes up your whole TV, and it really adds a lot more detail, and you can see just every little nook and cranny. And it was like watching Sleepy Hollow for the first time. Again, hadn't seen it in years, but this was definitely the way to redo it. The black levels on this are super contrasty, super inky, super dark. There's a hint of grain, but if you're a grain hater, you're gonna be fine. It's not that much, and this disc just looks really good, especially when it's full screen. I love full screen movies, and this one did not disappoint. Sleepy Hollow. All right, so for the next one, we got Furiosa. This one was a no-brainer. It just hits everything when it comes to audio, when it comes to how crispy clean it is as a native 4K. It's just all in all a super great disc. I don't really have a lot to say about this one because it just pretty much gets a perfect score on everything. It's super crispy, the colors are super contrasty, super vibrant, they pack a lot of punch. The audio is really good. You have a lot of action scenes that just really come to life. And all in all, just a really good disc. So for the next one, we got the newly released 4K Terminator. It's a 4K intermediate by James Cameron. I know there was a lot of fuss about this one because of the AI that's put into here, but personally, I couldn't notice. I thought it looked great. It's a full screen 4K, so you get to see a lot of detail. And honestly, I just remember popping this bad boy in and I was like, man, I can't believe this was filmed so long ago. It looks like it was filmed yesterday. I love seeing older movies because the restoration on them, it just, I don't know, screams a lot more, and you can see the big difference, especially when you compare. And my God, this one's really nice. I heard some people complaining about how it was kind of more of a dimmer movie and the Blu-ray was a lot brighter. I personally just raised like the black light on my TV and It looks great, super crispy, super nice. I don't know why a lot of people are hating on this one, but to me, I thought it looked great. So this one did come out a little while ago, but I recently picked up the 4K Steelbook that they had at Walmart because all I had was a slipcover, and then I rewatched it, and man, this movie is just a perfect 10 out of 10. When it comes to the HDR, it's pretty subdued, but you get a lot of true to life colors. Everything's super contrasty. It looks really good. There's a lot of punch to the colors when they are there. The audio is super loud. It shook my living room on certain parts, especially when we're like stomping on the ground with their feet after he made the bomb for the first time and he was getting his like congratulations. That scene in particular sounded crazy. The IMAX scenes on this one are just they're so good. It reminds you of like a National Geographic movie or something where they do the full screen IMAX and they film the animals and everything's just super crystal clear. You look like you're looking through a mirror. All in all, just a really good disc and definitely needs to make the list. So we got the Game of Thrones Complete Collection. That's a weird word to say. Game of Thrones Complete Collection, yeah. Every single disc on here is a 4K intermediate and it's full screen, so it takes up your whole screen. And there's just so much detail when it comes to the clothing and everything. You can see like everyone's individual strands of hair. There were so many times that I was watching a scene that I had recently seen on HBO and I was like, oh my God, this looks like a completely different scene. The HDR just takes everything to the next level. The reds are super bright. There's a really standout scene from like season, I think it was 6. I could be wrong, I don't know. It's when Daenerys is like burning all the gold from the Lannisters. That scene in particular just, it's like National Geographic levels of detail. It's just super good. And if you are a fan of Game of Thrones and you haven't seen the 4K on this, you need to, guys. It's like, I think like $86 on Amazon right now. I could be wrong, but you need to watch this if you haven't seen it and you're a Game of Thrones fan. Blew me away. All the discs on this look amazing. It's literally the best way to watch Game of Thrones. The part of the story where all the zombies come to Winterfell and they have their war. Now, when you watch that on streaming, it was really hard to make out things. Everything got just mixed up and pixelated, but on here, there is so much shadow detail. You can see every little thing and it's very easy to make out what's going on. And if you haven't seen that particular scene on 4K, you need to. It's really good. This whole set is amazing on National Geographic levels of detail and crispiness. So we got the Lord of the Rings collection. This movie also came out a little while ago, but I recently picked up the little collection where it has all 3 of them. And man, I saw so many reviews of people saying this was like some of the best 4K they have ever seen. And honestly, it really is. The HDR in this thing is just super bright, super vibrant. I mean, everything's a 4K intermediate, so you can see all the little details and everything. It's just like the definitive way to watch this, and a lot of the environments you don't even notice all the little things they do in the background of the movie. And when you pop in the 4K, you can see all the little things that's going on in the background. People working, little orcs doing things. There's just so many things in the background that you definitely don't notice or it gets lost when you watch it on Blu-ray. And it really stands out here. But Lord of the Rings, if you haven't seen it on 4K, oh my God, it's really good. So that was my best 4Ks from 2024 that I personally experienced. I would love to know what you guys thought about the movies that I chose. And then if you have any movies that I didn't mention, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to check them out if I haven't seen them already, and I'm just interested to see what you guys think. Until the next video, guys, as always, deuces, have a nice day.